Welcome to the Loveland Report and Lone Ranger Show. I am Cleve, Loveland, Central Florida's best real estate planner, alongside Bruce Woodburn, the Lone Ranger, giving you all of your mortgage, real estate news, what's really going on in the Central Florida market. On the weekend for an hour, we get to be experts in the field on the radio.
We're experts all the time.
All the time, yeah, but on the radio, we get this hour. The rest of the week, we are in the trenches, selling homes, doing mortgages, getting people money so they can buy their dream home, upsize, downsize, whatever they're doing, build their rental portfolios. Bruce, I got a couple of things I want to jump into today. I've got rates. Are they lower? International buyers, is that a big deal? And mom and dad, they're going to assisted living or moving to be closer to family. Should they rent or sell that home they've been in? So that's what I got to cover today. What do you got?
Well, I want to talk about what interest rates are doing. What is this whole bill thing, the big, beautiful bill, going to pass? And will that be positive or negative for interest rates? We've got Trump putting pressure on the Fed to drop the Fed rate. Is that really going to benefit us? Is that going to happen? What is the likelihood of that happening? And who's buying right now? Because there are buyers in the market, but is there a missed opportunity that we can see as well? Now, you want to talk about the foreign buyers buying. We can get into that as well, because there is a market for that. But I also think we really need to talk to people about refinancing as well, because refinancing is not up nationwide when it comes to rate reduction, but it's up nationwide when it comes to debt consolidation.
That's a good thing.
That's a great thing.
If people are not refi-aholics and they pay that debt down.
Correct.
You talk about that all the time. Somebody, you take their monthly payments are $5,000, and after you consolidate all their debt, it drops to $3,000. They still need to send that extra $2,000 to that mortgage,
or at least something.
Some of it, yes.
Right. At least something.
Yes.
That's what they need to send in. That's exactly. So when we analyze our client situation, we want to make it better. I had a client call me today and he's like, I did this loan modification, this on the back of my loan, and should I refinance or shouldn't I refinance? I look at that and my answer to him is, I have no idea. He goes, well, what do you mean? You're the mortgage professional. I said, that's why I have no idea. The numbers will speak the truth. So let's get the application made. If it makes sense, we do it. If it doesn't make sense, then we come up with a plan on what do the rates need to be for it to make sense. So just somebody calling you up going, I can save you money by refinancing. I can save almost anybody money right now by refinancing. But is it the right thing to do?
And there's,
and I
just saw 3 commercials yesterday talking
about
VA buyers, and these are big companies with NASCAR teams and sponsor golf tournaments, and got their names on soccer uniforms all over the country. That millions and billions of dollars of advertising costs you somewhere too, right?
You know how much we spend in advertising at Cross Country Mortgage, #1 lender in the country? Zero. We don't advertise.
Yep.
We do everything by getting information out into the public. We help realtors. We help builders. We go directly to the client. Clients hear about us through word of mouth, through people just like you, Cleve. If it wasn't for great real estate agents like you, I probably wouldn't do near the volume, but it's because I have real estate agents that count on me to get their deals to the finish line.
I know if you've got somebody and you say, yep, there's a loan there, it's because you've gotten all their paperwork. That's the hard part. People are, oh my God, he wants so much paperwork. Well, that's because he needs to know exactly your situation, so we know exactly how to structure the deal and negotiate the best price and the best contract for you. That's a big part of it. So
they say 65% of transactions that were written with a mortgage either are delayed or completely fall apart. 65%, that would be insane. If that happened in my business, I would have to quit. I would be depressed.
I bet you most of those are with big banks.
Well, they could be, but what happens is sometimes the client is their own worst enemy, but they don't know it, because they'll call me and go, Bruce, you're asking me for so many docs and I haven't even found the house I want yet. I know. I don't want you to find the house you want yet. I want to make sure that I can get you into that house when you do find it.
Yeah, because it's funny. I have people saying, "Oh, we're shopping to $550," and then after they talk to you, we're good to $499.
Right.
So, and that's what's important. But you can help them get their credit score up, which actually will affect the rate and determine whether or not their rate's going to be 7 or 6 3/4.
We do all kinds of things to help boost our client and get them better interest rates. I mean, I don't even know that many lenders that literally will call a client on a regular basis while they're under contract and floating their rate and go, hey, Cleve, let's float it for another couple of days. I think we see a market improvement. Or, Cleve, I don't like the look of the charts today. I think we should lock it in.
Yep.
Now, who do you have? First of all, which loan officers are you dealing with out there that even understand or read the charts? Like, I read candlestick charts. I'm watching the bond market, the 30, the 10, the 5-year notes. I'm watching this all day long. I'd be curious to know, as if you called your loan officer that you deal with and you ask them about the bond market and you ask them about how it affects their interest rate and should you lock or float, I'd be curious to hear that conversation.
Yeah, I don't have anybody else that I deal with, Bruce. You're my guy. And that's because I've gone through trial and error with other people. And for 15 years, you and I have been doing loans together, and you've never let me down on that. In fact, you rescue a deal a month. Usually, that I have agents call me saying, "Oh, the lender's not calling us back. Lender's not calling us back. We don't," and they're non-responsive to my office too. And I'll tell the realtor, look, you're out of loan commitment. We're not extending with you unless you switch over to Bruce. I know I will get the real story. And most of the time you rescue it.
Well, I want the real story, and the real story is the only thing that really matters at the end of the day. Hey, if you'd like to talk to Cleve, he is the voice of real estate here in Central Florida. He can be reached at 407-352-8118. That's 407-352-8118. Or Bruce Woodburn, the loan arranger, right here in your backyard, #1 lender in the country. You can call me directly at 407-250-9144, 407-250-9144, or go to webringyouhome.com. You know, Cleve, we still like doing things the old fashioned way. We shake hands, we look people in the eye,
Yep.
we show them their numbers in front of them. Or if they can't make it in, we like doing Zoom meetings so we can go over numbers.
Well, it's important. Like I have to go see a house, and if you're a seller with me, I had somebody sending me comps the other day. Like, this is what's in my neighborhood. I'm like, well, I got to see your house. I got to see if you're a semi-pro hoarder. I got to see what kind of work you've done to it. Have you been there since 1988 and never updated anything, but it's in immaculate condition? Have you not maintained it and you've had trees fall on the house? It's just, I got to see all these things to give people an accurate representation of where they're at. And then I'm not trying to force them to sign papers the second I meet them. I want to find out what your plan is. When is it best for you to sell? I had somebody the other day, 15-year note, wasn't really going to walk away with a lot of money, but I said, get me your mortgage statement. Let me look at that. We looked at how much he's chopping $1,500 a month off his principal. Right. I said, all right, so a year from now, you're 18,000 less, and the market will probably be stronger. We know it's rising slowly.
So he wasn't having cash flow because he had a 15-year.
And he was, and so he's going to walk away with 40, 50 grand instead of 20 because he had to buy, and he's got health. He wants to get closer to family. He's got some health issues, but he's okay now. And I said, well, one more year. I said, I think you'll be better because he's not going to buy when he moves. So all these things come into play when I help people do a real estate plan. It just amazes me when I'll talk to people and they'll be interviewing a couple of realtors. And once they've see what I give them, see my presentation on how we market a home, I talk to them about their plan. They'll call me back going, these other yahoos just trying to force me to sign papers.
Of course they are. So, absolutely they are. And it's the same in my business. All these mortgage companies are trying to get the veterans and FHA people just to do a streamlined refinance. But the problem with that is that it's not the right time for them to do the streamlined refinance unless your interest rate's in the high 7s. And here's the thing, before you lock in with anyone, give me an opportunity to look at your transaction. If I think you're getting a better deal where you are, I'll tell you to stay there. If you think you're getting a better deal, but let me look at it, because I think a lot of you folks are being taken advantage of. And I think a lot of folks, quite frankly, it's the same in your industry. They're not being represented properly by their real estate agent. It's hard for me as the lender, knowing what a good real estate agent looks like, acts like, behaves like, negotiates properly.
Yep.
And then when I see what people are using and they're like, yeah, well, I just had one. The listing agent came back on an offer. I told the guy, I said, you make an offer, come in $5,000 under ask price, ask for 3% in closing costs. The listing agent said, well, we might take the $5,000 under price, but I don't think the seller's going to entertain the closing cost concession. And the client said, well, they told me they're not going to do it. I said, just because they told you they're not going to do it doesn't mean they're not going to do it. Exactly. That would be a horrible negotiation.
In this market, I mean, our average time to market a home, mine's about 30 to 60 days now. The average time on the market now is almost 90 days.
Yeah.
So, and so you got to be nice to that gift horse, when they hand you that offer. Now it could be low. Now, you know how many offers, Bruce, I've had come in low, and then I have to go to work on the agent because I call it, bless her little heart. They didn't run any comparables, and we're priced really, really well. I'm getting good activity, and 5,000 under list price. That's a gift in this market.
Sure.
Now, depending on the
Well, it
price,
depends on the price.
they need 3%. So maybe we go back with them with that added on top. I tell them, hey, my seller wants to net this. If you need cost, that's going on top of that number. Where are we at? But
you present that to your seller. You wouldn't negotiate that out without consulting with your seller.
My seller, no. My seller's not the problem usually. I'll go over those numbers with him and say, this is a good number for the house based on our list price and the activity we're getting. But the problem is the other agent is not always trained on how to look at comparable sales and how to explain to the buyer, hey, if you need $15,000 in closing costs, the seller, that's a gift. Yes. And that's coming off the price. So
it's 15,000 no matter how you slice it.
And it's out of the seller's pocket, not traditional costs. So unless you go to a builder who's giving 20 or 30 nowadays.
But those builders are adding 50, 60, 80 grand to their price anyway. All right. So I don't think we're going to see any kind of Fed cuts coming in. I
just checked the chart. It's dropped from like a 90% chance of no cut to a 75% chance of no cut.
So there's a 25% chance that there might be a
September meeting. Yeah, September meeting.
That's for what? This month?
That's for July 30th. The next meeting, September. That one's got
September. I think we're about 89% they're going to make a cut. So I was looking at all the numbers from all the countries around the world that have cut their central bank rate. And we are one of the few that have not cut it.
And that's because of too late Powell.
Well, it might be, but you know what? Here's the thing. I know everybody says that. But I honestly think that if Powell can just hold it out until we can get inflation under 2%, that is hard. We're at 2.1, 2.2, back to 2.1. If we can get it under 2%, I don't think we need a Fed cut.
Yeah.
So why do we need to cut the Fed? All you're doing is stimulating the economy. The economy isn't doing horrible right now.
I think it's also about the interest on the debt too. Billions of dollars in interest. So, but so your rates, so your crystal ball rates still floating in the mid sixes or above?
Well, conventional loans, you're in the mid to high sixes, and FHA loans, you're in the low to mid sixes, VA low to mid sixes.
Yeah.
They're attractive right now. They're not in the sevens unless you have poor credit. But even on my FHA loan, I don't think my rate, even if you had a 580 score, is going to be any higher than about 6 3/4, maybe 6.9.
You can get a 580 score done.
I got a 506 score done. Now they had to put 30% down, but no one else touched it.
How do you have a 506 score? That's like, you got to really.
You'd be surprised.
You got to be really bad at it.
You listener, I know our normal listeners don't have those scores, but they have relatives that do. Okay. So they'll call me up. They'll go, Bruce, I'm a longtime listener. I have 800 scores, but my kid doesn't. Okay. Can you help him? So yes, I can help anybody. Listen, I will always help people improve their life until they don't help themselves.
Yeah.
I had a client the other day. They're self-employed. They're bringing in 150 grand a month in income. They wanted to buy an 850 house and they can't barely come up with 70 grand. Now they make 150 a month, 150 a month.
Oh my goodness.
And they can't come up with 70 grand.
All right.
And they're renting for
sounds like they're running around with the Kardashians. So, all right, you need to reach Cleve Loveland. You want to make a real estate plan for this year. Now's the time to buy. Market's soft. Sellers, if you want to know what's actually going on in your market, you need a price. You want to get my free staging checklist. I'm going out to see 2 people this week, asking what they should do, how much work they should do to a house. I help them with all that. 407-352-8118 or cleveloveland.com.
Yeah, or call the loan arranger, Bruce Woodburn, 35 years in the mortgage business. I service and keep 90+% of my loans. Everything's done in-house. I am not a mortgage broker. Everything is direct. You got me. You have my consultation, and I can close it as little as 10 days. 407-250-9144. That's 407-250-9144, or WeBringYouHome.com. When Cleve and I come back, we are going to discuss more about what the market is doing and what some of his listings look like so you can get into one of these properties. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.